Deep in the annals of folklore lies the story of Rumpelstiltskin, a tale that has intrigued, frightened, and perplexed readers for centuries. At first glance, it may seem like a whimsical tale about a mysterious man who spins straw into gold. But beneath the fantastical facade lies a haunting narrative that reflects the harsh realities of medieval feudal societies. It is a story not only of greed and desperation, but of systemic exploitation, where promises of wealth and survival came at devastating costs. The dark truths hidden within this tale may leave you questioning where the line between history and fiction truly lies. In medieval Europe, feudal societies were structured around a rigid hierarchy. At the top were kings and nobility, enjoying wealth and luxury. Below them were the peasants, the backbone of the system, who toiled relentlessly to sustain the upper classes. For the peasantry, survival was a daily battle. They labored for their lords, surrendered portions of their meager harvests as taxes, and were left with little to provide for their families. Poverty was not a choice but a condition imposed by the system. It was in this bleak reality that tales like Rumpelstiltskin took root. The story begins with a miller, a figure often seen as symbolic of the working class, boasting that his daughter can spin straw into gold. This outrageous claim attracts the attention of the king, who summons the girl and locks her in a room filled with straw. He commands her to spin it into gold by morning, threatening death if she fails. Here, the king's cruelty and greed are laid bare. His demand for wealth symbolizes the unrelenting exploitation of the lower classes, who were often subjected to impossible demands by the ruling elite. The locked room, dark and foreboding, becomes a prison, not just for the girl, but for the hopes of all who lived under the thumb of feudal lords. Enter Rumpelstiltskin, the enigmatic figure who offers to save the girl in exchange for increasingly steep costs. First her necklace, then her ring, and finally, her firstborn child. His arrival is no accident. He appears as a shadow in her moment of despair, much like the predatory lenders of medieval times who exploited the desperate. Historical accounts reveal that during times of famine or debt, peasants would pledge their land, livestock, or even their children to survive. These transactions often came with impossible terms, ensuring the peasants' continued subjugation. Rumpelstiltskin's bargains echo these grim realities, where the poor were forced to give up everything for the promise of temporary relief. But why spinning straw into gold? In medieval times, textile production was a cornerstone of survival and economy. Spinning, weaving, and producing cloth were vital skills, particularly for women. Straw, often used as a metaphor for poverty and insignificance, becomes gold, the ultimate symbol of wealth and power, through the act of spinning. The transformation speaks to the impossible demands placed upon the poor, to turn their meager resources into something of immense value, often at great personal cost. The girl's plight reflects the unyielding pressure on peasants to produce and provide, even when they had nothing left to give. Rumpelstiltskin's demand for the girl's firstborn child adds another layer of darkness to the tale. In medieval Europe, children were often collateral in agreements or used as labor to pay off debts. The idea of surrendering a child to a mysterious, otherworldly figure taps into the very real fears of the time: the loss of family, the breaking of lineage, and the ultimate cost of survival. Such arrangements were not uncommon. Families who could not repay their debts would sometimes see their children taken away to serve wealthier families or enter bonded labor. The girl's desperate bargain mirrors the choices that countless peasants faced, where survival often came at the expense of their future. The story's resolution, the girl's cunning triumph over Rumpelstiltskin by guessing his name, may seem like a victory, but it is shrouded in ambiguity. How did she discover his name? In some versions, she spies on him in the dead of night, where he dances around a fire chanting his name. This eerie image of Rumpelstiltskin dancing alone in the forest raises unsettling questions. Who is he? Why does he help the girl at such a cost? And what does his obsession with her child signify? The act of naming him, unveiling his true identity, feels less like a triumph and more like the fleeting unmasking of a greater systemic horror. But the haunting question remains: who is Rumpelstiltskin? Is he a villain, a savior, or a representation of the system itself? A force that offers false hope while extracting impossible payments. Perhaps he is all three, a shadowy embodiment of feudal society's relentless demands and the inescapable bargains the poor were forced to make. The ambiguity of his character leaves readers unsettled, blurring the line between hero and monster, much like the feudal systems that both sustained and destroyed lives. The true horror of Rumpelstiltskin lies not in the fantastical elements of the story, but in its reflection of historical truths. It is a mirror held up to history, reflecting the desperation, exploitation, and resilience of the human spirit. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about power, greed, and the sacrifices made by those at the bottom of society. The tale's timelessness lies in its ability to evoke both fear and empathy, reminding us of the fragility of survival and the cost of inequality. Even today, the echoes of Rumpelstiltskin's world linger. We see modern parallels in exploitative labor practices, predatory lending, and systems that prioritize wealth over human dignity. The names and faces may have changed, but the struggles remain eerily familiar. The story's darkness is not confined to the past. It seeps into the present, a chilling reminder of how far we still have to go. As you close this chapter of folklore, consider this. How much of Rumpelstiltskin's world still lingers in our own? Do we not see echoes of impossible demands, exploitative systems, and desperate bargains in today's society? The shadows of the past remain with us, and the spinning wheel still turns. If this story stirs something within you, let it be a call to action. Reflect on the systems around you, the sacrifices made by those unseen, and the power of empathy to challenge the injustices that persist. Comment your thoughts below. What do you think Rumpelstiltskin represents? Is he a villain, a savior, or something more complex? Let's explore these questions together. For in uncovering the truth behind the tales, we might just find the courage to spin a better future, one where no one has to bargain away their soul for survival.